Hi everyone, it's me, the anti-black Barbie, the all-watchful eye of anti-blackness. So Omarosa said it best. You're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own fact. I can concede that because I'm not in Ballroom, I may not be the most credible person in regards to the more minuscule things. However, history only has one truth, and that truth is that Ballroom was created for black people, not Asian, not Native American, not anything else but black. Every single iteration around this topic indicates that Crystal LaBeija created a space for black and Latinx people. And before you start throwing out obvious talking points, no, Latino is not, has not, and will not ever be a race. If your mind instantly goes to an off-white person who speaks Spanish, then it's probably because there's almost zero representation for darker-skinned Latinos because of how prevalent colorism is within the Hispanic community, which again only proves my point of the importance of gatekeeping in these spaces. You can look further to people who came after, like William Dorsey Swan, and it still indicates that even their spaces were also created only for Black and Latin people. So when Honey tries to leverage this, it's really irrelevant. While she may be Latina, she's a white Latina, the exact opposite of what Ballroom was originally intended for. I want to clarify some other points. I can only hold Beyonce accountable for the things I know she's a part of. In my opinion, someone of Beyonce's caliber would need a team to help her. As much of a Virgo I know she is, the production is on a scale that is simply large for one person to oversee. That being said, I can't confirm if she knows Honey said the N-word or not. I also feel like it's unrealistic to ask why Beyonce hired Honey in the first place. Black people platformed Honey to be the face of Black Ballroom, and Beyonce obviously had to hire someone white. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see how Honey ended up in that position. However, had people like Deshaun not propped Honey up on a pedestal, we probably wouldn't have had a white Latina ballroom dancer as the option. It would have probably just been some random white gay from California. Being black and being in these spaces really is not enough for you to be credible anymore. Someone like Deshaun, who has been there for 20 years, allowed a white Latina to say that ballroom is now for everyone. First of all, that's not yours or Honey's decisions, and making a bold statement in such a way using your platform and your credibility is highly irresponsible. Black queers are underrepresented in every category, yet you have the audacity to allow someone to come and say that there is no longer a need for ballroom, which is a key part of Black queer representation. I get that people were upset with the way that I spoke about him, but quite frankly, I do not care. Anyone who creates that much space for non-Black people to repeat anti-Black rhetoric is not an ally of mine. I've done extensive research on both Crystal LaBeija and William Dorsey Swan, and nothing indicates that either of them would allow a white Latina into their space. Even if you want to argue the fact that it may say black and brown, Honey still doesn't fall into either category. This space is not and was not intended for Honey, and that is the end of the discussion. We can clearly see a difference in the way she's being received and the way that someone like Darius is being received, which is why it was a mistake to platform someone like Honey in the first place. Not only is she taking your jobs and becoming the face of Ballroom, but she is colonizing your spaces as a result of your weakness. If you're not someone who is willing to challenge these things directly, then at the very least, what we can do is prioritize Black people in our own spaces. There's a reason why Beyonce has been snubbed at so many award shows. Whether it's verbalized or not, they're sending a message that no matter how exceptional you are, they will always prioritize their own. Which is why I get frustrated, because I feel like Beyonce of all people should understand this. Even if she hired Honey, she still could have used her platform to introduce her Black dancers to influential people. She didn't even really need to introduce them to anyone. She could have just let them have their own solos in the show, or maybe small dances with her that highlight them prominently. There are so many ways she could have worked this around, yet it feels like she's falling extremely flat for me. So a little bit after making my video, a Filipino gay decided to post my video twice in one of the voguing Reddits because he was feeling a certain type of way. So here are the comments in a response to what I had to say. It comes no surprise to me that it's a bunch of non-black entitled gays leading the charge to dogpile this video. They understand that if we band together, they won't have a place they can be propped up on a pedestal. The idea of allowing black people their own spaces is such a problem. To this person, they posted my video in the subreddit twice. It's funny because one of my comments was saying I was being nasty and it was personal, which is the entire point. I have firsthand experience being in these spaces where non-black people invade them and they are instantly centered, prioritized, and uplifted regardless of what the group is. I used to be that person who tried the POC solidarity thing, but it's a waste of time. You can easily look to how white Latinos sold us out and voted in favor of Trump, despite knowing that we were the prime targets of his rage. So as a collective, they will be getting dust from me. These people fail to show up in every single aspect. They don't use their privilege to support black people, they vote in favor of candidates that won't protect us, and now they're sitting in our faces screaming that they deserve to be in these spaces. So when people say Ballroom is no longer needed, I want to remind you that racism has not died out, and in fact, it's becoming more prevalent than ever. In 2025, they fired someone like Lloyd Austin, who is the Secretary of Defense. He's a decorated 4-star general, over someone like Pete Hegseth. His highest role in the military is being a U.S. major. So don't come and tell me that spaces, organizations are no longer needed, because it's simply not the truth. I had a lot of people ask me why I feel so entitled to have an opinion about things that I'm not a part of. And the conversation that Honey and Deshaun had is the perfect reason why. This behavior isn't exclusive just to this scenario. Every single time we turn around, there's someone who builds a large audience off the backs of black people, and they start pandering to their white audience once they finally made it. So because they won't use their platforms responsibly to gatekeep these spaces and prioritize their own, I'll have to go ahead and do the job myself. One of the quickest ways to trigger me is when people try to rewrite history. Crystal LeBeja was discriminated and losing to people who looked like Honey Balenciaga, which is why she created an all-black space in the first place. So to say that Ballroom is for people of Honey Balenciaga's archetype is completely asinine to me. We can have a discussion about the integration of Black Ballroom after Crystal's influence, but to paint it as if Crystal or even William Dorsey Swan would allow someone white in their space after being racially discriminated and eventually jailed is actually an insult to my intelligence. For me, I don't really care to go back and forth about the minuscule details like if Honey can dance or not, because that wasn't my point in the first place. The entire point of the original video was to be centered around gatekeeping and allowing non-black people who are especially mediocre to become the face of our culture. I want to reiterate that this page is pro-black, which means that in every scenario you see me in, I will be coming from the position of centering and uplifting black people. I don't do people of color, nor am I interested in pushing POC solidarity. At this point in history, black people no longer have the option to keep entertaining these one-sided, anti-black dynamics. Also, I want to reiterate that a lot of these opinions are informed by my audience of black queer people who follow me on Twitter. If a multitude of black queers come to me and say they feel like Honey Balenciaga shouldn't be in Ballroom, then that is what I'll be talking about in order to open a discussion and provide them a safe space where they don't get dogpiled by racists and entitled non-black people. A wise person once told me that the plantation has a habit of recreating itself, and I would be inclined to agree with them. If you like the video, like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you in the next one.